And that reason was because I almost died. Hello and welcome back to my channel. I am Shalina B, and today we are finally going to talk about my 2023. So this video is going to be a 2023 recap, the highs and the lows and all the things that have gone on in 2023, how I wrapped up the year, and what to expect for 2024. So let's get right into it. Before I get into recapping my year, I just want to thank you all for subscribing. Thank you for being here. I see a lot of new subscribers, so thank you all. Welcome to my corner of the internet. If you are new here and you don't know much about me, again, my name is Shalina B. I am a stay-at-home mom of 4 beautiful children and a wife. I have twin boys, they are 7. I have a toddler who is almost 2 and a baby girl who is 5 months. I recently became a stay-at-home mom a little bit after the pandemic. I've been in the workforce for over a decade. I have a background in health and wellness, operations and management, and once the pandemic hit, things changed and my focus was needed at home. So I got home, I became a content creator, a coach, consultant. I started to do a lot of my own entrepreneurial work. I've sold products and I have services to prioritize moms and their self-care and their times. I also help moms to manage their own homes, to create healthy habits and routines for their homes so they can really prioritize themselves. Something that I say and that I truly believe is when you make yourself a priority, your home, your career, and your family thrive. So that is something that I live by. That is an example that I try to show, but that is something that I've been doing and I've been enjoying it so much, and I'm so thankful to have continued my journey here on YouTube. I am still a very new YouTuber, but I have enjoyed it thus far. If you haven't watched my past videos, I have Vlogtober videos, Vlogmas videos, some regular vlogs, and I'm just wrapping up my Daniel Fast series that I've done. So if you want to join along for the Daniel Fast series, the link will be in the description box to join. I provide recipes, resources, check-ins, support, all those good things for you to jumpstart your year, or whatever time that you decide to do it throughout the year. Share it with a friend and just stay connected. The one thing about the beginning of the new year, we want to start strong. We want to be healthier. We want to have goals. So I think this is a great way to jumpstart your goals, especially if you are a person of faith. Fasting is a great way to start, to just really start your year strong in faith in the Lord and to continue on. So just wanted to plug that little bit there. But again, I'm so thankful that you are here. I post motherhood, family related content, cleaning videos, and just daily lifestyle vlogs. I am multidimensional, so I'll probably be posting much more things, but those are the things that I gravitate to. Just simple living, simple life, basically how to simplify life, because I feel like I've lived a very complex life, a very busy life, and I'm in a season where I want things to calm down and be more simple and present. And this can segue into my recap for 2023. So before I even get to January of 2023, I have to backtrack to 2022, because oh boy, 2022 was a whole lot. Unfortunately, I lost my dad in 2022. I had gotten pregnant after having a miscarriage. We built and moved into a brand new home in 2022. So it was just a lot going on. So I felt like I was on autopilot since then. After the pandemic kind of calmed down, life revved up. Once my dad got sick, and we're building a house and pregnancy and all of those things. So I felt like I've been on this fast track. So I had my baby in 2022. You know, things kind of slowed down a bit because I was just taking care of him, enjoying him, being present. So I resigned in January of 2022. So that's when I became a stay-at-home mom, and things, and my job was just to be present and there for my family. And then that's when the consulting and the coaching and the content creation really picked up at that time. So I'm enjoying my child and everything, and then I ended up pregnant again. That's when I was pregnant with our daughter. So I got pregnant, and it was quite a surprise because I did not plan for 4 children, but the Lord had other plans for me. So I'm so thankful for her. But it was a big surprise, and it was a lot to digest because for me, 2023 was supposed to be my year. I know we all say that, right? We all say that this is going to be my year. This is going to be the time where I'm going to be successful, and I'm going to do all these things, and I'm going to go for it. So I knew after this child, this was going to be my last child, that I was going to go for it. But that's not how it happened for me. And unfortunately, you know, with postpartum, I believe my baby was 6 months, and so I was 6 months postpartum when I found out I was pregnant. So I am postpartum, and I'm now starting a new pregnancy. So when I tell you I had back pains and pelvic pains and joint pains, like it was just a lot of physical and as well as the mental, because if you know, there's a lot of hormonal changes and imbalances and just so much that goes on. So it was a lot, and again, grieving my father, it was just a lot to handle. But I am a go-getter. I try to push through. So I pushed through. I'm like, all right, we're still going to make this year happen. So at the top of 2023, now just a few months pregnant with my daughter. I didn't know at the time. I didn't know what I was having, but just pregnant, just a few months shy of being pregnant with my daughter. I had a speaking engagement top of the year. So I was able to speak to a parent group at a local school. I taught them about having healthy routines for their children, some after school routines, how to engage more with their children after school and in home, and you know, just to have some family fun, because I really believe in the family unit and keeping the family together and doing fun things together, coupled with having those routines and having everybody being a part of their household, because I feel like everybody plays a role, no matter what age you are. My baby, like I said, he's almost 2 years old, and he understands cleaning, and he does little things that he can do that are age appropriate. You know, he'll throw his little wrapper in the trash, or he'll pick up something off the floor and put it where it needs to be. So age appropriate, of course. But I had that. It was amazing, and I just knew, okay, we are on fire. We're gonna keep going. In February, we announced our pregnancy because I was starting the show pretty quickly, so we announced it. I am now deep in my lives, in, you know, social media, doing my coaching thing, you know, just promoting and just getting some good information out there, inspiring moms and women to be their best selves, and teaching them about routines and healthy habits and self-care and all those good things, while also trying to take care of myself and prioritize my self-care. And then the next couple months were pretty much the same. Like I said, just a lot of coaching, content, social media, preparing for baby, all those good things. But I feel like if I had to come up with one word for 2023, it was survival. That was the only word that was the only way that I can really get through, is to survive. I felt like I was on autopilot, so things were just happening. I was preparing for my 3rd child. I was preparing my household for my 3rd child, for our 3rd child, for my kids, a new sibling. So there were just a lot of changes. So the one constant for 2023 was that I felt so uneasy about childbirth. Going through this a 3rd time. I have already had 2 C-sections. With my almost 2-year-old, I was able to go into labor. I labored for 18 hours, medicine free. I just wanted to try it on my own. I wanted to try to have a natural birth, or just, you know, allow my body to do what it would do. And I'm proud of my body, and I feel like I got pretty far, you know. But unfortunately, I got far in labor, but I never progressed I got far as laboring, but I never progressed to delivery. I never dilated, unfortunately, or I didn't get past like 2 or 3. So of course that makes you feel like, you know, well, my body is not doing what it's supposed to do. What is wrong with it? Why can't I deliver vaginally? But ultimately, I wanted to make sure that baby and me were healthy, because that is what's important. And I've had to do a lot of self-work to not feel a way that I couldn't have a natural birth, and to realize that C-section mamas are strong as well. We are all strong, whether you gave birth vaginally or C-section, or you adopted, or whatever, like, or you a mom figure. We are all strong moms, and we do what we have to do for our kids. But I feel like that took a lot of work for me to feel that way, because I didn't always feel that way, even with my twins. So needless to say, after having 2 C-sections and understanding how much goes into that, the recovery, the epidurals, all those things really scared me to do it a 3rd time. So I was just so uneasy throughout the process. So I knew that things had to be different this time around. I didn't know what, but I felt like it's when we found out that we were having a girl, we kept it very private and very close to us, because I don't know what it was, but I felt the need to isolate. I felt the need to draw inward and just really seek God and really go deeper to God, because I just had a very uneasy feeling, a very nervous feeling about it all. And I knew I needed the right people around me, the right support around me, the right spiritual guidance and support around me. So we kept it to ourselves for a while, just, you know, me and my husband, we knew, and then we brought it to God and we prayed over our baby, and that was probably the best thing that we could have done. But I was watching a random show, and one of the actresses on the show was pregnant during the time of filming. And you know, when they're pregnant, when they only like film, you know, the head up, or they have like certain shots and certain angles that they film. And I looked her up and I realized, oh, she was pregnant, because I was pregnant at the time. So, you know, mother's intuition. But I saw on her page that she had these women praying over her belly. They were having this kind of like ceremony type of thing. And I was like, oh, this is so beautiful. I want to do something like this. And I come to find out it's called a mother's blessing. And the official name for it is a blessing way. And it's a Native American tradition. So it's reserved, that blessing way name is reserved for them. But basically it's a rite of passage for a mother as she enters into motherhood. As she has her baby, she has her circle, her support people that pray and that just surround her and support her as she becomes a mother. So I knew that I wanted something like this, because I was entering into a new phase and era that I have never been in. You know, I'm going to be a girl mom. I've been a boy mom. I've had 3 boys, and all I know is being a boy mom. So this was going to be a totally new experience. Even though I had had multiple kids prior, I'm having a girl now. So really it felt like I was starting this process all over again. So I knew that I needed a certain circle. I needed a village, is what I called them. I needed a village to encamp me and be there for me during these moments, beyond just when she was born, but as she ages and she grows and our relationship grows. Because I wanted to make sure that my daughter knows that I am there for her, that I love her, that I support her, and that she knows who she is, and she can walk boldly and live her life, because this world is a very crazy and dangerous place, you know. But I want to make sure that I instill in her some great values, that she knows herself so she can step boldly out into the world. So I wanted to pick the right women, and I handpicked these women to be in my life and to be my supportive circle. So we ended up having a blessing way right before the mother's blessing right before she was born. It was so beautiful. It was so loving. There wasn't a dry eye in the place. The place was just so sacred and so necessary. And I'm just so thankful for it. I'm so glad we did it, because it couldn't have been perfect. And God, I feel like he gave me this vision of what this particular event would look like. And man, it was amazing. It was beautiful. So I'm just so thankful for that moment. I'm thankful for that time, and I know that that was for a reason, and that reason was because I almost died. So let's talk about the day I gave birth. So we scheduled the C-section because I've had 2 C-sections prior. They required me to see a OB specialist to look at my chances of having a vaginal birth. They call it a VBAC or a TLAC, which in the TLAC is trial labor after cesarean. So that is what they call it, because we're going to trial the labor versus it's going to happen afterwards. So it's like you trial and error. You see if it's going to happen. So I had to take this little form and we answered the questions, yes or no. And then my chances were like 16%. Before I had my almost 2-year-old, my toddler, my chances were, I believe, 65%. So they went from 65% to like 16 to 19%. So that made me feel quite a ways. But again, you know, I asked all the right questions. I had my lovely doula team. I had a birthing doula and a postpartum doula. If you don't know what a postpartum doula is, they basically come help you postpartum. They come over, she does like light cleaning, she acclimates the other children to the new child, she holds the baby while you get sleep. It is so helpful. I mean, I had the best team in the world, so I'm so thankful for them. But I had my, you know, doula there, my birthing doula, to ask questions that maybe I didn't know to ask as far as giving birth, because I know sometimes C-sections are pushed on women, especially Black women. And I wanted to make sure that I asked all my questions to make sure that this was actually necessary for a C-section, for medically necessary, to make sure that me and baby were safe. So after asking all our questions, we decided, okay, this is the best, and we're going to go for it. Mind you, I'm still hesitant. I'm scared. I'm nervous about this C-section, but I said I will pray. I will keep going. And when I had to sign all the papers, the pre-op papers, there was a form that said, you know, tubal removal. So when you know that you are having your last child, so we were planning to have 3, and then we had 4. So we were planning to get a vasectomy so we can not have any more children. And the form asked me to remove my tubes, and I was like, you know, I don't feel comfortable. I'm not going to sign the form. So didn't sign the form, but that's just a formality. It's just a form that they have you fill out when you are done having kids. And I guess it reduces your chance of cervical cancer, of those type of cancers, because you don't have those tubes and things can't transmit apparently. So we did that. Again, we went in that day. Everything was fine. Pre-op went well. Surgery went well. Everybody was in there vibing and laughing, you know, so it was a good time. And the baby was healthy. She was happy, you know, all went well. We went into recovery and we got into our room. Hubby took a nap. I had some food. So it was pretty much like just a normal recovery. But there were a couple things that I noticed throughout that day after, because I had surgery early in the morning. So throughout that day, I had noticed a couple things that felt strange. And those 2 things were, I was itching all over. And I've itched before, right? Mind you, I've had the C-sections. I understand anesthesia makes you itch. But it was an itch that was just uncontrollable. Benadryl, lotions, nothing would stop it, because the itches I've had in the past, they went away pretty quickly. They subsided pretty quickly. But this itch was like my legs, my back, everywhere itched so bad. So that was the first indicator that something is not going right. Then the second thing, I could not hold any food down. And again, I've had surgeries before. When you have anesthesia, sometimes you're nauseous, right? Things come back up. But I couldn't keep down Jell-O, water, and then I had an actual meal, nothing would stay down. So those were the two things that I was like, something feels funny. So mind you, this whole time leading up to the pregnancy, I was nervous, I was hesitant, and then those two things are now happening. But you know, I just chucked it up to, well, these are just things of surgery. Everything is okay. So then we get later in the night, you know, the nurses have switched their shifts. You know, we're getting ready to prepare to kind of calm down. The floor is quiet. Visitors are gone. You know, so things are getting ready for the night. And then this is TMI, but we're gonna be real here. Can we be real? We're gonna be real here. And hopefully this spreads some awareness for, you know, not to scare you. This is not to scare you at all, but this is just to spread some awareness, because I didn't know of this. And if any of these signs or things happen to you or somebody you know, I want you to be informed, just in case. So later on that night, I felt like a gush of blood coming out. And again, I've bled before. I know that you bleed after having, after giving birth, but this was like more of a gush that I wasn't used to. So I let the nurse know that you know, I'm gushing blood. What is this? So they came in, they measured it, because I guess this is a part of this procedure that I never knew was a thing. So they measured the blood. They would press on my stomach. Every time they pressed on my stomach, more would come out. So they were trying to monitor, you know, making sure my uterus will go down, making sure that the blood would stop flowing, because that's to get the uterus down. That's how the blood, I guess, it stops the contracting, and it goes down, makes the blood not fill up in there, and that's how you on your way to recovery. So they did that. They measured it. You know, they did it enough times to where it stopped. It was painful pressing on my stomach, but it's what needs to be done. So they went away, monitored, came back, and it happened again. So they're pressing on it, and a couple clots start coming out. And so now they're starting to get concerned. You know, they're calling other nurses in, they're calling the resident in to just kind of see what's going on here. She's having more blood clots. She's having more gushes of blood. Every time I push on her stomach, it's gushing out. We're weighing it. It's starting to be a little bit more. What's going on? So they did some other just routine, again, the same routine things that they were doing, and then it seemed like it got under control. So at this point, you know, they changed my bedding, and I was like, you know, all this blood, I would really love to get a wash up, you know. So they were going to assist me to kind of just do a bath, because I couldn't do a bath. I couldn't do a shower yet, but I can do like kind of, you sit on the toilet and they give you the wipes, or they give me like a basin with the soap, and then give me towels so I can just kind of wipe myself on down and wipe some of that dirt away. But we couldn't get to that, because after we had a period of, you know, everything kind of seems fine, it starts to gush more, and it's more and more. So at this point, you know, we have more nurses coming in. We have the resident now calls the doctor on staff, calls them out of a current birth. They were a delivery that they were in, because I am now gushing at a faster rate. My blood pressure is dropping. So your normal blood pressure is a 120 over 80. And what I was told, it was like 60 over 30. I don't remember the exact, but I remember the word 60. So we're in a dire situation now. And now that my blood pressure is dropping, I can't breathe. I am literally like gasping for air, and I can't breathe. And I remember I started to say, Lord, please, Jesus, help me, keep me alive. I want to breathe. I don't want to die, Lord. Please, Lord. Like, I remember that to this day. It was so like in me trying to breathe through my last couple breaths, because when I tell you, it felt like I had an elephant just kind of laying on my chest, and I'm like, I am about to die. And I was telling them around me, please don't let me die, please save my life, you know. And unfortunately my husband is in there with my daughter, because at this point before all of that stuff happened, they wake him up to let him know, okay, we're going to give you the baby because we need to work on mom. So I am just praying over everybody. I'm like, Lord, I pray over everybody in this room. Please let them save me. Please touch them. Please give them what they need to keep me alive. So thank God, whatever medicine, whatever they did, whatever God did, I was able to, I breathed. I took a big deep breath, and I was like, oh my goodness, please don't let me go through that again. I was like, I thought I was dying. And apparently that was exactly what was happening, you know, with my blood pressure dropping and me losing all of this blood. If you imagine like a faucet, it's just rushing out of me, you know, and with the clotting and my blood pressure dropping, all of that stuff was real dire. So at this point, I get sent back into the recovery. When you recover from from the C-section, you go to recovery and then you go to mother baby. So they went back to recovery to kind of do some procedures, and I'm not going to give these details, but when I tell you, it was so painful, so painful. And I appreciate the doctor that did it, because she literally saved my life. But when I tell you, it was so painful, because at this point they have to act. They can't numb me, give me pain medicines. They are doing whatever they can to save my life. But unfortunately, it is painful, and I feel every little bit of it. So I thank God for the strength to be able to get through that, because when I tell you, it was so painful. I was like at the point where I'm like screaming because it's so painful. And my husband's in the room. What I'm so thankful of is that throughout the whole time, he wasn't too far. He was always with me, and I'm just so appreciative for that. So they tried some things and it didn't work. So at this point, we have to go to the OR room, because they need to get me under so they can try to stop this bleeding, because I'm still bleeding, mind you. So they tried a DNC, which is, I guess they try to suck it out and see where the blood is coming from, and they try to scratch the surface or something like that, and it just kept bleeding. And they did another procedure. I can't remember what the other procedure is called. Yeah, it was the DNC, and it was another thing that I just can't remember. I believe it had something to do with a bulb. Like they were trying to put a bulb through my cervix. I don't know if it's Foley, but I don't know if that's what it's called. If I can find it, I'll put it on the screen somewhere. But they tried to do that procedure where they put a bulb through my cervix so it can suck out the blood. But again, nothing was working. And at this point, my clotting factors failed. So if you think about it, if you cut yourself, typically you can hold it down, put pressure on it, and then it'll stop, because you have the clotting factors that'll clot it for you. My clotting factors failed. So at this point, my doctor told me she remembered hearing it gushing out like a faucet. And that's how fast it was. And when you think about the average body, they told me like the average body has about between 7 and 8 liters of blood. And I lost 4.5, almost 5 liters of blood. So I lost almost more than half the blood in my body. So you can just picture that and imagine what kind of situation I was in. So when I say I was near death, I was near death. You know, so and who knows where I was in and out of, because at this point, I remember going to OR. I remember them putting me on the table. I remember them injecting me with something, and I was out, and my body like kind of started to rumble, and then I was out, and I was just like, and that sweet nurse, I don't know who she is, but she was right by my side, holding and rubbing my hand as I was falling asleep. And those things like really, really warm my heart, because nurses are so special. Like healthcare providers, I appreciate them all, but it's something special about a nurse and the care that nurses give. Like I had a nurse that was hugging me, you know, because I had to get the epidural. So just, you know, just the warmth, and the other one just holding my hand, you know, because that is so scary, being alone in those type of situations. So I so thankful for that nurse and that team in general. They were just amazing. But after that, I woke up and I was in the ICU. And I was looking around and I was like, okay, what's going on? Like, I know something happened, but thank God I'm alive, 1. But 2, I know something has happened, because my baby's not in here. My husband's not in here. I'm in this bed, I'm in this random room, and I've never been in this unit. Like, what is going on? So I knew something had happened, you know, something, and I felt different. I was like, they've taken something. Like, I feel empty, like something is taken, something is gone. So I assumed like maybe they took my uterus because my uterus wouldn't stop bleeding. And, you know, my husband got in there and, you know, he asked me like, you know, are you ready to know? And I was like, no, not yet. Give me a minute. And then finally he told me, you know, I got a hysterectomy. And obviously I couldn't process everything at the time because I'm literally like trying to get play by play or playback of everything that happened, because everything happened so fast. And maybe that I was in it, I only have like my point of view, but not really understanding everything else. Because apparently the doctor asked my husband, like, you know, are you getting his permission to perform the surgery? But it was really just to include him because they had to do that to save my life. So you know, I ended up getting a hysterectomy, and they call it a partial hysterectomy because she didn't take my cervix, but she took part of the tubes and the tissues above that. And the reason why she did that was because I was already bleeding a lot. So had she took everything, I might have bled more and been in more of a dire situation. But lo and behold, my uterus was taken away. So they call it a hysterectomy. So I had a hysterectomy. I didn't know how I felt then, and I still sometimes don't know how I feel about it, because even though we were done, or we said we were done having children, I wanted him to get the vasectomy because I knew that that could be reversed and I didn't have to go through, you know, getting my tubes tied and going through all those things. But the thought of not of my choice, and I'm sure a lot of us women can relate, just having our choices, things ripped from us and us not having the choice, you know. And I understand that I'm grateful, very much grateful, and I understand that this was to save my life, but it does kind of sting sometimes to know that my choice was taken from me, you know, to give birth again, if I even wanted to, if I even had a little thought of doing it. But that's something that I will heal from and continue on. But we all have those thoughts, you know, the what ifs and the shouldas and the couldas and things like that. Yeah, so I was in ICU for a couple of days. Thankfully, I was able to see my baby maybe once or twice a day, to bond with her, to nurse her. I was able to pump, and thank God my milk came back. My milk was in because I had nursed my son throughout the pregnancy. I mean, throughout postpartum, and then I don't think he finished nursing until maybe 2 months before I had my baby girl. So I had the milk, but then after all that surgery and the trauma that I went through, it stopped. But thank God, those are the two things that I thought that weren't going to be available anymore. I felt like my milk was going to be gone, and I was like, my uterus was gone. But luckily, after pumping and praying, a lot of praying, my milk came back. And shout out to my village. Again, I'll stop here to say, I knew I was feeling uneasy this whole time for a reason, but this was why, because God was preparing me for this. So having this mother's blessing, having all these prayers and these positive women in this village around me, was because I was about to go through something so serious. So when this happened, you know, before they rolled me out of the room, I said, babe, text the village, tell them to pray. And they all prayed. And one thing that I wanted during the blessing, one of the like ceremonial activities, if you will, I don't know what to call it, but it was like a candle ceremony. So I had a larger candle, they all had smaller candles, and everybody had ribbon, a little piece of yarn, and they would tie their yarn around their candle and that same color yarn around my candle, and they all had a piece of yarn that was on my candle and on theirs, and I had all of their yarn on my candle. So it was like they were all with me. So the purpose of the candle was for them to light it when a mom goes into labor, when the mom has her baby, so you can light it and start praying for that mom. You can pray for a safe delivery of that baby and a healthy recovery for mom. So when we had the baby, they had them pray and light their candles. But then when this situation happened, they pray and light their candles as well. So I had so much love, so much prayer, so much support around me. So I really feel like all of those prayers kept me alive, because it was a very, very dire situation. But at that point, you know, I'm in ICU. I'm trying my best to recover. And then a couple of days later, I was strong enough to go back to see my husband. But I'll just pause there. ICU was a rough place. I got poked and they drew blood like every couple of hours. You know, I was cooked up with all these machines and oxygen and morphine drip. Like, it was a lot. It was lonely because it was, you know, me, my husband, and the baby couldn't be there continuous. They can only visit for short periods of time. So thank God for my strength. Thank God for, you know, the support, because I feel like my mental strength is what really got me through this, because, you know, like I said, it got lonely and it was a lot to really take in and to go through. But I feel like if it wasn't for God, if it wasn't for my relationship with God, I wouldn't have made it. I wouldn't have made it, because that was a lot, you know, like I said, getting constantly poked over and over and over. I now had 2 surgeries. I had a C-section that morning and then another surgery to remove my uterus that evening, you know, so my body had gone under a lot of trauma. I laid in the bed without moving for like 3 or 4 days until I finally got transferred over. So, you know, I'm atrophy in my muscles. So that means that my muscles are getting weak. The muscles are kind of deflating a little bit. You know, I'm slowly getting an appetite back because I didn't eat a whole bunch. You know, and still again, just piecing everything through, and just how everybody was, apparently I was like a local celebrity in there, because for the crazy reasons, of course. Because everybody was like, oh my goodness, we heard about your case and we couldn't believe it. And we're so glad you're here. And you have just healed so well and you've come so far. And because apparently those situations don't always turn out well. But they were like, your recovery is really remarkable. And I was like, well, thank God. It's only God. That's the only person that I can really contribute this to. God really protected me through it all and helped me to recover as quick as I did. To say that this was a wild ride is at the least. It was a lot. But thank God, you know, I was able to transition out of ICU. I was able to go to, it was called the OB Special Care Unit. So where they monitor you a little closer than they would monitor you in mother baby. And my husband, my baby was there. We were back together as a family. I cried when we got back together. I was so thankful to be back together. And that was the road to recovery. It was slow, it was long. I slept a lot because of the medication and the trauma that had went on my body. And, you know, I just try to do what I can to recover, and obviously keeping God first through it all. But thankfully we got home, and you know, that was that. So again, to say that, and I have to mention this story because this was literally the 2023. This was really my 2023, just everything leading up to it, how I thought the year would go, how it changed, you know. So though this was a very traumatic situation, you know, it really is something that I'm grateful for. I'm grateful that God brought me through it. I'm grateful for all the support. It was just, it was tough, but just to hear so many different people in that hospital that had so much things to say about, you know, wow, we heard about this and we were following it on the monitor and we were following up about it. You know, it was a big deal because apparently this hadn't happened that often. And I think that this might have been the first one that the surgeon that was called that attended to me, this was her first situation, I believe, like this, you know. So I am so thankful for her. You know, we've shared some tears together. We've had some conversations, and I'm just so thankful that God placed every single person that was involved in this right where they needed to be. You know, some of the nurses that were at my C-section and the anesthesiologists were back for the second surgery or for my recovery. So when I say, like, God really, really placed the right people in my life. But I would be remiss if I didn't talk about that aspect of 2023 because it is a miracle. It is a testimony. and it is really my 2023. So that was the highlight, if you will, of 2023. And I think I forgot to mention, I did have 2 other speaking engagements that year. I was able to speak at a community baby shower with my doulas, talking about how mothers can prepare for baby, prepare themselves, their families, their homes for baby. And then I did a presentation for my friends membership where we talked about tailoring your focus and just making sure that you can focus in each season of your life as a busy mom, as a busy woman, just in making sure that you keep yourself first and that you can just stay on top of the things that matter to you. And, you know, after my pregnancy, I just pretty much kept it low key. I tried my hardest to jump right back into things, but I think that was the most important thing for me to do, is to slow down, to make sure that I leaned on help, even though it was hard, because it was these 4 children that we now have was a lot. But thankful to our mothers, they were there to help us, to support us. You know, our village was there to help us, support us. We had a meal train going on. We had so much support. And I'm just so thankful for each and every person who prayed, you know, who checked on us, who sent us food, gift cards, all of that, because it was so necessary. And a lot of them don't even know this story. You know, I might be hearing it for the first time, but God laid it on their hearts to do these things for us for a reason. And we are forever, forever grateful. So just to quickly kind of get into the end of 2023. So August and September, October, pretty much just postpartum, healing, trying to get better. Thanksgiving, we typically always host for Thanksgiving, but we decided not to host this year because I felt like it would be too much with my healing and my recovery. But we did host for Christmas. And I think this is when I started my YouTube journey. I started Vlogtober. Because I really wanted to do YouTube. I've always wanted to be a YouTuber. I've always loved YouTube. So I wanted to be on it as well and kind of just share a little bit about me and my personality and my life and how I do things over here. And it's been fun. I've really enjoyed it, and I'm excited to see where it goes, and, you know, just who I reach, who I touch, who I inspire, because I love to just encourage and make sure that you are prioritizing yourself and make sure that you have routines and healthy habits that really project you to the level and the place that you want to be in life. So again, check out those past videos. So really what life has been about for me is just healing and also finding out who Shalina B is in this season. I can't have kids, and we are no longer in that conception, trying to conceive stage. So now it's really understanding who am I outside of my children, outside of being a wife, outside of, you know, no longer having of any other children. Like, who is this new woman? You know, how am I going to live my life? How am I going to show up for myself? So this has been an ongoing journey, and this is definitely something that I'm going to take into 2024. So before I get to 2024, Christmas was great. We hosted our family. We had a sleepover. We had a pajama party. We made hot cocoa. We played games. It was such a good time. I just really needed to be around family, and it was so relaxed. I feel like sometimes hosting for Thanksgiving is very formal, and it's a lot of bells and whistles that I do. I love hosting, and I hope to have maybe my hosting series on my channel for next year. But this year, I really want to keep it low key. I do have a hosting series on Instagram, though. So if you want some tips on hosting for the holidays or any other time, head over to Instagram to see those videos. But we just kept it low key, and it was great. We had a great time, and I feel like that was a great way to wrap up the year. I feel like the end of the year is the time where it gets a little slower after the holidays are over, so you can really prepare for the new year. And yeah, and that's how we wrapped up our year. But I'm just so thankful. Like I said, I feel like the theme of the year was survival, but the end of the year was just gratitude. Thank you, Lord, that I was able to see all of my children, because 2023 could have turned out so different. Maybe I never would have left the hospital and only my husband and my baby left without me. So I'm just thankful that I am alive. I am here. I am healing. I am strong. And I hope that this does help somebody. If you know somebody that's going through this, or like I said, just know the signs. Get you a doula if you can, a postpartum, a birthing doula. Just that advocacy and support is so necessary. So necessary, because there's a lot of things that we don't know, and we may not know how to advocate for ourselves. But just having somebody in your corner that will ask the questions and ask the right questions that you may not ask is so necessary. So shout out to my doula duo, my favorite doula duo. But yeah, so we ended the year with gratitude, and this year, and for 2024, I just want to live. I want to enjoy my life and live. I don't want to survive. I want to actually live. So again, like I said, we're taking this year to just really get to know me, get to know my hobbies, get to know the things that I enjoy, try new things, just not putting myself on the back burner, because we do, as women, as moms, as wives, we put ourselves last, we put ourselves on the back burner, we take care of everybody else, and we only give us this little tiny piece. And it's time that we cut our slice of the pie first, and then we give the rest of the pie to everyone else. And we fill from an overflowing cup, not from this half little teacup that we have. So that is what I am modeling and I'm doing for myself, and that's what I will continue to share and teach and spread to all of you. So again, I hope that you are encouraged. I hope that this has touched you. That is my 2023, and look forward to getting to know me a lot more in 2024. I can't say all that I'm going to post, but I know it's going to be about self-care, about prioritizing yourself, or about maintaining your homes, because home management, routine, self-care, motherhood, lifestyle, all of those things are me. I look forward to sharing more of me. I look forward to getting to know more of you. If this video resonated with you, or if there's anything that stuck out to you, if you have any questions, I would love to answer them below. If you have not done so, please consider subscribing, like this video, share if anybody needs a little encouragement. Love to have you join our little community over here that is growing slowly, but it is definitely growing. Again, I appreciate you all for being here. If you are still watching to this point, drop a heart in the comments so I know that you are here. And I appreciate you all. I will be posting my January recap soon and what to look forward to. So you'll hear all about the Daniel fast and January recaps and all those good things coming up. So look out for that video. But again, thank you for watching. I appreciate you for being here, and I'll catch you on the next one.